Welcome to Club Biversity. This is a space for honest conversations about relationships, desire, and non-monogamy, specifically through the lens of Black and POC experiences.
We're your hosts, Compersion Dan and She. This podcast exists because so many conversations around swinging and E&M don't sound like us, don't center us, or don't consider the cultural layers we carry into these spaces.
We're not here to convince anyone of anything, just to talk openly, ask real questions, and share what we've learned, what we're still learning, and what often gets left unsaid.
This podcast started as a conversation between friends, the kind you don't always hear out loud.
This isn't about labels or perfection, it's about honesty, curiosity, and creating a space for people who don't always see themselves reflected in these conversations. Hello, She. How are you?
Hi Dan, how are you? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm very well. I'm still, how shall I put it? I'm still skipping slightly because of that amazing munch that we went to last week. It was really, really good to see you.
That was really good to see you. It was good to see everyone, actually. I really, really enjoyed that. So I'm definitely up for the next one. So it was nice to meet some people that, because we're in a group and we often chat to each other in the group. So it's nice to put sort of faces to the people that you're talking to. So that was really good. That was really, really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, that's very much the case. And for people listening who may or may not be, let's just say for people listening who are not yet in the lifestyle or who are considering the lifestyle, what we're talking about is a social event that we attended last week, which is referred to as a munch within kink circles. And the munch that we attended was for a community that we're part of called Serotonin.
Yeah, I think I've just I'm being very intentional this year with attending these social events. I think it'll be nice for just for me, just to get to know people and within my learning journey as well as part of the E&M community, which is the Ethical Non-Monogamy community, which we're both in. Well, something that we have interest in, both of us, in sort of different ways, which we're going to talk about today as well, which is
Yeah.
why we're here.
That's very true. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for mentioning that because we have to always try to be mindful that people listening don't always know much about the lifestyle. So we have to sometimes pause from time to time to explain what this or that term may mean. So you've already explained what ethical non-monogamy is, the most what you might call the most basic definition. And that's actually one of the things that I loved about the social, or as I mentioned earlier, the munch that we attended last week, because it's a great way for people to get to know each other in person and, not just the socializing part of things, but also in terms of getting educated in a safe way, amongst people that are happy to help. And yeah, that's one of the amazing things that I love about this community that we're a part of.
Yeah, I think we're all at different levels of our learning journey. So it's nice to sort of integrate with other people and sort of find out where they're at in their journey. And you probably, as you may know, you pick up on things that other people are sort of doing, and it might align with what you're doing at the same time. And, and that's how you learn from each other. From my background, I'm a constant learner, so there's never an ending to learning when it comes to me. So I'm always open to wanting to know more about what's going on. So it does these social events. I think they're really, really good.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'm very intentional with attending this year. I haven't done it in quite a long time. And it's because obviously life gets in the way. Life does life sometimes. We've all got loads of different things happening in our lives. Sometimes you tend to take a step back, and a lot of people do it. They're in this in the scene, in the social circle, and then all of a sudden they do take a break from it all and come back to it again. There is also that open element of you just being flexible with how you do things as well. So I love that about the community. So yeah, definitely intentional with attending more events.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot then because you said that you like learning. So
Yeah.
I suspect that you've probably researched E&M on a more granular level than myself. So I'll be interested in your interpretation. So if you can just give a quick summary of your interpretation of E&M, and let's just see how much it aligns with mine. And the reason I said that is one thing that I think is very important is, terms may be bandied around, but it's very important to communicate and have conversations with people because although you might be saying the same thing, your interpretation of that thing may be completely different. So it's always very important to not rely on assumption when talking to people, especially when navigating these kind of relationship dynamics. So yeah,
Mm.
if you could just briefly.
I think clarity is very important, don't you, in this sort of lifestyle that we're in? For me, clarity is important. I
Yes.
need to know. I need to know because if I don't know, then I don't know. Then if I don't know, I always think, how do I navigate the
Yeah.
person that I'm with or the people that I'm with, and how can I be open and honest, which is part of being in the E&M lifestyle. Um, I think some of the definitions that I came up with is people being in a relationship style where we have more than one romantic partners or sexual partners, or everybody that's involved within the circle of partners that you have, they know about each other. They may or may not know about each other. They may be aware of what the other partner is doing or the subsequent partners are doing. And there's also a level of consent because consent is important within the circle. And I think the key difference with being within a E&M sort of dynamic is that there isn't any cheating. There has to be honesty and transparency. So that's very important. And then you've got different things that count as E&M as well. So open relationships where couples are staying as romantically committed but allow outside sexual partners to come into the circle or into their dynamic or into their little circle of two people, and you can extend that little circle of two people into multiple people that sort of come into your dynamic again as sexual partners. And then you have polyamory, which is having multiple romantic relationships at the same time, with everybody being aware of each other as well. And then you've got swinging, which is where we're very familiar with swinging because most of us start from the swinging circle. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that's correct. So before you go deeper into that, I'm going to be nosy
Mm-hmm.
and ask, where would you say that you are within the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy?
I sort of I'm trying to find my footing because sometimes I find myself within the open relationship area, and then I would sort of find myself in the swinging community area and then polyamory. But there is also relationship anarchy, which I really don't understand. And I know that you're very much a relationship anarchist and you say that all the time. So maybe you can explain that to our viewers so they can understand from your perspective what relationship anarchy is. So for me, before you go there, I'm sort of jumping from one place to the other at the moment. It sounds very confusing, but it's trying to figure out where I fit in. Like, I think it can change over time as well, depending on who you're with. So it could be very contextual, depending on your agreement with whoever you're with at the time of a situation, relationship, whatever anyone wants to call it. So that's where I'm at, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hop skipping at the moment.
And I would say that's very normal within this context because it's, everything about this is beyond what we're taught, beyond the norm. So we all have to find our way somehow. And unfortunately, we all have to find our way by trial and error. But hopefully, when we educate ourselves, and as I mentioned before, if if you become part of a, a community that has good intention, you will minimize the amount of trial and error that you do along your journey. So for me, I started out like many in the swinging community. Over time, that's changed. And I don't know if that's a combination of age and or experience, but I've, as over time, I've drifted slightly away from that or more and more away from that, depending on your perspective. And I'm very much in what you might call the kink side of things. And it leans heavily towards my perspective, which is, and it's a bit of a long barrel name, I regard myself as a solo polyamorous relationship anarchist. So,
Oh,
so
that's a bit of a mouthful. Maybe you want to tell us what that is, because I want to understand that as well. That's one of the ones that I need to get my head round. So
yeah,
maybe you
and
can
even that's not the whole title, but I'm trying to summarize. So, okay, so some people may have heard the term polyamory. So you may get someone that will say that they're poly and someone else that will say that they're polyamorous. So although sometimes people might say poly as shorthand and that might apply to them, the full term would be polyamorous. So broadly speaking, polyamorous means that you're open to having multiple romantic relationships, whereas poly means you will have multiple relationships, but not necessarily on a romantic level. And
Mm,
if you add the tag at the beginning, which I use, which is solo polyamorous, it means that I am my own primary partner. Whereas in most E&M relationships, and I think it's the majority, most swingers, most polyamorous people, there would be some kind of hierarchy within the relationship in which they would have a primary partner. A perfect example is amongst swingers. With swingers, there would normally just be one romantic partner, and everyone else is more like a friend, a play partner, etc. Within polyamory, there's a bit more fluidity within how things works. And obviously, we're human beings, we're not robots, so there may be the theory of non-hierarchy, but nothing's ever like I said, we're not robots. So there may be a theory of non-hierarchy, but sometimes, there can be an ebb and flow in terms of energy and things like that, which I think is perfectly natural. But in principle, a relationship anarchist doesn't, believe in hierarchy. And the reason why I mentioned relationship anarchist is also in the sense of there not being hierarchy between romantic and platonic relationships as well. It's having it's seeing the value of each of them. And if I'm to use a very crude example, I always use this example. It's like if you remember the school playground, so in the school playground, sometimes your friend will suddenly start going out with X, and then when they start going out with each other, they kind of like they almost discard their friends, even their best friends, because they're so much into this new bright and shiny relationship. And even as a youngster, I felt that there was something wrong with that. It's important to value all their relationships. So that's kind of like a very crude explanation of my perspective of relationship anarchy.
that's interesting. You've sort of mentioned a structure of ethical non-monogamy, which is solo polyamory. And I know there is a sense of not having a particular nesting partner because you're your own, essentially your own nesting partner in a sense. And correct me if I'm wrong because we're all learning. But yeah, so is there a sense of is it something that you choose to is it an umbrella that you choose to be under for the rest of the lifestyle, or might that change? Because again, remember I said with me, there isn't any specific sort of structure to my E&M lifestyle. I'm currently trying to figure out where I fall into. Is it something that it will change depending on a partner that you meet eventually, or is it just something that you've chosen to, is it a path that you, again, have chosen to live in
I,
within this lifestyle?
I would say to that, who knows? Because you just mentioned nesting partner. A
Yeah.
nesting partner isn't necessarily a primary partner. And just to briefly explain, a nesting partner is someone that you live with, but due to whatever circumstances, it could be that, let's just say, for example, you've been living with someone, and then over time, they no longer become your main partner, but there's still a bond between you. It could be that
Mm,
you've transitions from romance to friendship. So you still care for each other, you still live
mm,
with each other, you still have things that connect you, but you wouldn't regard each other as a primary partner, but just by sheer circumstance, you're a nesting partner. So, but nesting and primary partner aren't necessarily the same thing. So
mm.
yeah, so that's one thing to bear in mind. So theoretically, you could even have a nesting partner and be solo polyamorous because you happen to live in the same household. But so yeah, so the two things can coexist. That doesn't confuse things, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, it's very clear, and in a sense, I've sort of figured out exactly where I fall under when it comes to the structures.
Okay.
Because for me, I would love to be a primary partner. I,
Okay.
d- I definitely know that I need to be somebody's primary partner. Not to sound so controlling there,
Yeah.
but my crops a bit too much. It might be a bit of a
Yeah.
struggle for somebody to contemplate. But I know that I probably would fit in comfortably with being a primary partner. And then I'm very happy with others being secondary partners or people coming in who are secondary partners in within the commitment, but it would depend. I don't think, sometimes people would have like unicorns and stuff. I think
Yeah.
that would be a struggle for me,
Mm,
because then that would be another element of it that is like what you probably would call, or what the definitions are terming as, a kitchen table sort of polyamory, where everybody's comfortable interacting with each other, whether it's casually or just generally, just interacting partners and things like that. So
before you go on, can I pull you back slightly?
yeah.
I'm conscious of people learning as they're listening. So, what is a unicorn? And when you were saying that there's an issue with unicorns, are you speaking from the perspective of bringing a unicorn into a relationship, or you being the unicorn? What's your issue with unicorns?
Bringing a unicorn into a relationship that I am a primary partner of.
Okay, so do you want to give your interpretation of what a unicorn is, or shall I do that?
Go on, you do it.
Okay, so a unicorn, generally speaking, would be, and it's generally seen as a woman. So a
Mm,
unicorn, generally speaking, is a woman that's invited into a relationship at whatever capacity of an existing couple. And the reason the term unicorn is using, because as she just said, is the couple will be each other's primary partner, and the unicorn would be a third. Now, some people, for some single women, that's yes, thank you. That's perfect. And for some,
mhm,
there would be a feeling of, well, I feel slightly secondary and that doesn't work for me. So,
mhm,
in my experience, unicorns tend to be quite polarizing in terms of how people view them. Some people are very pro that dynamic, and some people, are very averse to it. Shall I put it that way? That would be my interpretation anyway.
mhm. Which is really interesting, because this lifestyle is massive. And when I say massive, there's so many different areas or so many different layers to it. So when I say me being a primary partner, it the way I see that happening is me being partnered with a for me would be a male partner. And for me, maybe that male partner is only partial to a female addition to the dynamic that we're in.
Okay.
And that's what I would that's what I can sort of I can sort of picture my dynamic, and how it would be at this point in time,
Okay.
because that's where I'm at. at this point in time with the person that I'm with at this point in time. Because again, like we were talking about your solo polyamory, is it something that is going to be solo polyamory for the rest of the lifestyle? Or is it something that is just contextual for this time and this place that you're in at this point? Do you see what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, and that is where I am, but I'm not dogmatic. So what I mean
Yeah.
by that is things can change, and if I was dogmatic, I most certainly wouldn't be where I am right now. So I've
Mhm.
always had an open mind, and I believe in the organic flow of things and of what feels right. So if something feels right, I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
But as the general baseline, it
Yeah.
suits where I am in my life to be solely polyamorous. I mean, for example, I've been within the lifestyle, I've been a single male. I've been part
Hmm.
of what you might call a swinging couple. I've been part
Hmm.
of a BDSM couple,
Yeah.
and it worked for the time. But where I am now,
Mm.
solo polyamory is most definitely where it sits best with me. It sits best with me.
Yeah. So it's even like at the moment, when you're talking about solo polyamory sitting best with you, it's where you are at this point in time. And when we're talking about different structures of the E&M lifestyle, um, I was just thinking like immediately a light bulb switched, and I was thinking, yeah, primary partner would be for me.
Yeah,
But then primary partner is for me at this point in time. Um, that may change. Who knows where life takes me in the next sort of 2 year, 3 year projection
yeah,
or 5 year projection. It might be a different sort of situation at the time, completely depending on where I'm at. And even at the moment, being partnered with somebody, it's constant conversation and discussions of boundaries and where we're going with the boundaries. And these boundaries do change each time. So the boundaries changing might make the structure change as well.
yeah,
So when we say about learning, it's constantly learning about where you are, what you like, where you fit in,
yeah.
what aligns with the both of you if you're partnered with somebody, what doesn't align with both of you, and then just trying to figure it out step by step. That's why I really don't specifically identify with anything when it comes to common types of E&M, to be honest, because I find myself jumping from open relationship to certain aspects of polyamory or certain aspects of swinging, which is where swinging, I think for most of us that get into the lifestyle of swinging is where we get our footing in. And then once we get into the swinging lifestyle, then we figure out exactly where we're going with it if we want to stay into the lifestyle. And some people tend to stay in the swinging scene for quite a long time, depending on what they want, where they're at, and then they eventually get to meet people. So for me, that those are the areas that I veer in mostly. So I could be one thing today, I could be something else next week, it could be something else next month. I mean, there is that flexibility and the autonomy to be able to just be who you are, which is what I like mostly about this.
And it's funny that you said that. And that's why. So that I'm about to say there's no rights and wrongs. There
Mhm.
are rights and wrongs, but there's what's right for you and what's not right for you. And so what you're saying about how things change, I can definitely see the merits of having a primary partner because things can be so transient, and things is you might say it's almost like spinning plates sometimes. It's nice to have that grounding of a primary partner. So
Mm.
from my perspective, the nearest I would get to that, and there's reasons why I don't want a primary partner, which maybe I can go into today or another time. My reasons for not wanting a primary partner, and yeah, let me rewind that bit. Although I don't want a primary partner, something that's very attractive to me is what's referred to as an anchor partner.
Mm-hmm.
So broadly speaking, it's from my point of view, it's taking the best bits out of having a primary partner without the
Mm.
negatives, you know. So so
Go on,
okay,
break that down for us.
okay. And again,
Yeah.
what's right for one person isn't right for someone else. So what's a negative to me isn't necessarily a negative for someone else.
Mm.
You know. So what I mean by that is because I'm a relationship anarchist, I I have kind of like a gut feeling against hierarchy, and
Mm-hmm.
the thought of a partner in a sense vetoing what kind of journey I can have with other people, it kind of like rubs me the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, so you could say, the crudest interpretation, that this is my own interpretation, my crudest interpretation of an anchor partner is a primary partner without the vetoes.
Mm.
So,
Does it want to
so
be,
it's a bit of a
you know,
gray area.
autonomy? Autonomy is my key word lately, and
Yeah.
has been for quite a time. Um, does it have to be vetoed? Does it have to be viewed that way?
Um, Again, it's down to interpretation, and I'll be honest,
Mm.
my view it is based on the past, so that's why I've come to that conclusion. So it's yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. So, and again, that's why I always say it's always good to have discussions, because if I was to go into an in-depth discussion about what I see as a anchor partner, someone else might say, well, that's a primary partner. You see what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
So, whereas someone else's interpretation of an anchor partner might be completely different. So, it always
Yeah.
goes back to communicate, communicate, communicate. Never assume anything, leave no stone unturned. There always has to be clarity of communication.
Can you just explain the anchor partner again one more time, just for viewers' sake, or not
Okay,
viewers' sake, but listeners' sake,
right.
but also for my sake, so I can sort of see the difference. Maybe, like you say, everybody's interpretation of things is slightly different.
Okay, so to
Clarity
me,
kind of.
yeah,
So,
to me, an anchor partner is a bit like your rock. So, because you may have some like friends of benefits and casual partners and things like that, but your anchor partner is someone that, you know what, when you're not at your best, so whether you're at your best or not, that's someone you can always reach out to, and they will always be there for you, and obviously you there for them. So, because this lifestyle, it does test all of us. There's some great things about it, but it does require a great amount of emotional maturity. And
listen.
that takes that
Listen.
that
Yeah.
takes mental, perhaps even physical energy.
Mm.
So to have a safe space, a safe space can be in the person of a person who is your anchor. So it's like, you know what, you know, it might be hitting the fan in one way or another, or yeah, you just want someone you can confide in, and that whatever happens, that's someone, who's always there, if you see what I mean. So
Mm.
that to me is an anchor partner. And again, if someone's listening to this, they will say, "Well, isn't that a primary partner?" So yeah, so it's a bit of a blurred line, but I'll say it again, it's similar to a primary partner, but without the vetoes.
But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
My primary partner would be my anchor partner,
yeah,
because to me they should be the sort of person that I should be able to pick up the phone or message when I feel certain things happening that I need support with.
yeah,
Could be emotional, where you just want to talk it out, talk it through with somebody, and they would give you that sort of, some type of reassurance, some type of comfort, some type of just knowing that there is somebody there for you.
yeah.
So to me, it might just be a difference in the wording,
Mm.
but I think definitely my primary partner would be my anchor partner.
Yeah.
That would be an expectation
Yeah.
in that dynamic.
Yeah. And you see how it goes down to interpretation, because
Yeah.
if you were to say anchor partner, it's going to mean something completely different to someone else. But
Mm.
again, it's all down to communication.
It's definitely down to communication. Communication is key um, in all of these aspects of the different sort of dynamics and the different structures. And you have to find yourself having constant communication and clear communication, and just establishing boundaries. And then you were talking about you have to have a certain level of emotional maturity with it as well. That involves a lot of work within yourself, just doing work for yourself, so you're able to sort of navigate the various things that you have to navigate, because it takes a lot um, to be able to just be in these spaces with these relational structures that you have to adapt, which is not really your norm or what we're used to.
Yeah.
So having to allow yourself, I think I've just learned to allow myself some grace, like just accept who you are first, work on what you want as a person, because and even one thing that I've been learning how to do, which might sound a bit strange, is like learning how to love myself. Because if I don't love myself, there's no way I'll be able to disperse my love to all these other people. And we were also talking about friendships and how friendships can be sort of the total contrast of a romantic relationship, and how this can sort of come together. And that was really, really interesting. So having to know how to sort of frame yourself in the different areas of the E&M lifestyle, because there's a lot to navigate. Just you as the person, and having to allow other people within the space, your space. And that's a big thing, bringing people into my space, because you as an individual are allowing other people to come into your space, and you're going into other people's space. So it's a lot.
A
It's
lot.
a lot.
Yeah. Right. So I was thinking this could be a good place to end this episode. What do you think?
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about jealousy at some point as well, because that comes in as well. So jealousy would be a good one to go into, and compersion, maybe. I
Yeah.
love compersion. That's my new one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
And thank you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Looking forward
And
to
you,
seeing you soon.
and see you.
Take care of yourself.
You caught me in
Oh,
compromising places.
um, see, you said that. No, no. You're going to have to explain what you're talking about. What do you mean?
So I'm the biggest flirt there is. So, well, I'm very, very, or I try to be, or think I am discreet with my flirtiness, but I was caught on my tracks by Mr. Dunn during the munch. So, you know, we're not going to say it anymore. We're just going to leave it there, so I don't give away my secrets. But yeah.
I'm afraid you did, because it was plain as day. I knew exactly who you were attracted to. You may
Ah,
as well have put it on your forehead.
honestly, I gave myself away. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Anyone could have seen it. I'm sure a couple of people must have clocked it. I'm sure. Just nobody said anything, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Either that or I know you too well. One of the two.
You probably know. But you're a people watcher, so that's easy for you to actually pick up on. So it was kind of interesting.
Oh, shall we stop here before we say something we shouldn't?
Yes, we should.
Okay, then. I'll talk
Yeah.
to you soon.
See you soon. Bye.